Let's be honest, I'm too old to have a TikTok account, but I've been told by members of our team that there is some interesting property advice being given out on there. So I've asked them to put together a selection for me. I'm going to watch it now. Haven't seen them before. I'm going to react live. Maybe I'll learn something. Let's see.
You're a teenager and you've always
this is a good start. You don't need money to start in property.
You need loads of money, don't you? It's a common misconception with property.
Common misconception.
There are tons of ways you can get into property with zero or little money in. Build up your pot, then start buying. Okay, intriguing. Here's me for all this time thinking that investing actually involved money. But somehow you can invest without having any. I'm going to have to sign up for an account and follow this guy and find out how he does it.
I'm just about to buy my first house in cash. How cool is that? Are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, of course, because I won't have to give any money to the bank. Yeah, but having a mortgage is one of the cheapest ways you can borrow money. If you can borrow at a low rate of 3 to 4%, you can invest the rest in the S&P 500, which historically has given 8% return. And what does that mean to me then? You'll make more money than you have to pay back in interest. And that's why you follow me for more money.
That's weird. Yeah, of course. I mean, we've spoken on this channel so many times about the benefits of using a mortgage. Completely true. I have major issue with the S&P historically returning 8%. Therefore, you think it's going to do so in the future. Loads of reasons why I think that's dubious. But the core principle is true. If you can use debt as a tool and do it responsibly, then yeah, whether you use that to invest in property or something else, yeah, it's going to be a good move.
You wake up in the morning?
Yep.
No, not worth it. Not going near that one.
Looking at the land registry data for a while now, but it's predicting we could see a 10% drop in house prices this year. So looking at 295, 10%, we're down to about £265,000. So
boring.
Okay, I'm disappointed. I was expecting a lot more dancing and a lot less numbers and analysis. I would question whether prices dropping 10% means that there are going to be bargains everywhere, but it certainly does mean that there are going to be people who are forced to sell into a slower market, so you might be able to get stronger deals than you would before. Oh, he's back and he's got a wig on.
Is renting a house a waste of money? Renting a house has lots of benefits. You can move out at any time you wish, you don't have to worry about maintenance, and you can invest the savings. But every month my money's spent on rent, so buying must be better. Buying a house has lots of advantages. You can pay it off over time, historically the value will increase, and you can even rent out a room. Then it's a no-brainer, I have to buy. My simple rule is, if you want to stay there for less than 5 years, rent and invest your mortgage deposit.
Okay, I actually completely agree with that one. I often say the same thing about 5 years being the threshold. We've got another video on the channel, which we will link to below, about why I personally choose to rent. So I agree with the advice. Not sure I'm going to start delivering it in that style. Oh, it's Uncle G.
Most people shouldn't buy a home.
No one should buy a home.
Who one should buy a home?
Homes were built for banks. The bank created that product.
Homes
to sell money.
Were not built for people.
You can't just loan people money. You need a product in between. The bank can't lend money for just money. Like, you need a reason to borrow money. You can't just call it a house, right? Everyone should have one, right? They got the politicians behind it. Yes, everyone should have one. And then what they did was basically those homes were built for banks, because who made all the money on the homes? Wasn't even the builder. Certainly wasn't the homeowner. It was always the banks.
Well, there you go. You heard it here on TikTok. The only reason we live indoors is because it suits banks. And I think some homeowners would take issue with the statement that they haven't made any money on owning a home. But let's move on. More no money stuff. That's what I wanted.
Oh yeah. Connect to every lawyer, doctor, surgeon,
dentist
on LinkedIn
in London
and message them all.
Yeah.
Because they're all going to have a bit of cash.
Yeah.
And they probably all want to get into property.
What did he say?
Hold their hand through the process, do the refurb for them, less it out for them, and then you just pay you a fee to do that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, doctors and lawyers, famously gullible people, famously risk takers who are going to be happy to hand their money over to someone who's never done this before so they can go buy a house. This must work. They must actually have done some of what they're saying. I just find it so hard to believe. And I imagine you're going to get booted off LinkedIn for spamming before you get anyone saying, yeah, the thing that's been holding me back is I just didn't have anyone to give my money to do it for me. Unbelievable.
Here's how you can get into property from just £5.
Right, £5. I mean, he needs to watch the other guy. I've just heard I can do it for nothing. Now you want me to pay a £5? Forget it.
REITs, short for Real Estate Investment Trust, is a property investment company where you can benefit from the same revenue streams as traditional properties like appreciation and rental income passively, but with a small amount of money.
Okay, that's actually all true and correct, which is useful but not funny.
Sorry, but you don't earn enough money to afford this 400k house, and you don't have a 40k deposit. I know, that's why I'm buying it for half price. What are you talking about? I'm a first-time buyer in the UK with an income of under £80,000 a year, and that means I'm eligible for a 50% discount on the market value of the house under the government's first home scheme. Fine, but who's teaching you this? I just follow Kazatime.
Hey, I'm actually going to need to go and Google this.
A few moments later. 5 minutes later. 1 eternity later.
Okay, I've actually learned something because I've never heard of that. Not quite as good as it sounds because it's only for key workers. The discount stays with the house forever, and it seems like there's only about 1,500 of these in the whole of the country that are eligible. But I guess it's good that people can find out about this stuff through TikTok.
If I had just £1,000 and I wanted to get started in property, here's exactly what I would do. First, I'd go online to OpenRent and Gumtree and look for properties to rent. If I found a nice place that I liked, I would contact the landlord and I'd let them know that I'm looking to do service accommodation in Airbnb. Once I get their agreement, now I'm going to look for an investor to buy this deal from me. And I'm going to find these investors on the different property groups on Facebook. Once I find an investor, I send him the deal. Once he likes it, he pays me £3,000, and then I continue to do that until I sell 2 to 3 deals, and then I'll use that money to put towards my own rent to service accommodation deal. And I'll continue repeating the same process over and over again until I'm at the point where I'm making some nice residual income, and then I can start buying.
Okay, so first I noticed he's saying, I'm going to do this. Not clear if he actually has done this. Again, it's one of those things that must work sometimes, but I've been on the receiving end of this. You put a property up to rent, you get tens of these people getting in touch saying they want to do rent to rent or something. You just no, like trying to find that and then trying to package it up and sell it on to an investor. Again, it must happen. But this is even the stage before rent to rent, because rent to rent, you need some amount of money, hardly anything compared to investing, but still something. This is the forerunner to that. So if you can't even do rent to rent, you sell rent to rent deals before you've done it yourself. Again, I'm sure it's technically possible, but there are so many other ways to make money that are way easier. Well, as we've said so many times, property is an incredible way to compound your wealth over time. But to make money in the first place, you're really scraping the barrel trying to find ways to do it here. There are so many other businesses you could start instead. Well, of course, I'm pleasantly surprised. There was some decent advice on there and some viewpoints that you probably wouldn't otherwise be exposed to. So I think that's pretty healthy. But of course, there's also a load of absolute rubbish on there, just like there is with any platform. And the problem is, I imagine the algorithm is going to push the buy property with no money down stuff more than it is the more sensible advice. But what matters more than any of this when you're buying property is to get your numbers right. If you overpay for a property or you underestimate your costs, you're going to get yourself into trouble. So watch this video next, where we give you a free spreadsheet that you can use to analyze property deals, and I'll talk you through exactly how I use it every time I'm making an investment.